Welcome to Shy Sports Legends. These Bears were feared by their opponents. Let's get to it.
Drafted by the Bears in the third round of 1988, Kreutz went on to define the center position for more than a decade. He played 13 seasons with the Bears, anchored the offensive line that powered the run to a Super Bowl in 2006, and became, at the time of his departure, the longest tenured player in franchise history. He started 183 regular season games, a total second only to Walter Payton in Bears history. For what truly made Kreutz intimidating wasn't just the accolades, it was the edge that sometimes went too far. Twice, physical confrontations with teammates left them with broken jaws. Those incidents followed him for years, becoming permanent footnotes in his story. Yet those who knew him best often described something more complex: a fierce competitor, a godfather figure in the locker room, and a leader who carried genuine regret for the damage he caused. Olin Kreutz was more than a Pro Bowl center. He was the standard of toughness in the trenches, the quiet threat in the huddle, the protector of the quarterback, and the living definition of a Chicago enforcer. His resume is loaded. 6 straight Pro Bowl selections from 2001 to 2006, first-team All-Pro in 2006, and a spot on the NFL 2000's All-Decade team. Doug Plank's playing style was full throttle. He attacked running backs and receivers with a reckless, almost self-destructive intent. There were hits so violent they were used by NFL officials for years as teaching tapes, especially one devastating blow on Tampa Bay tight end Jimmy Giles that became a league-wide example of what not to do. In an era filled with punishing runners, Plank found a way to stand out even against legends like Earl Campbell, once delivering a hit that knocked the great power back out of a game and cemented Plank's reputation as one of the hardest hitters of his generation. Opponents dreaded games against Chicago because if they somehow got past legends like Butkus and other Bears defenders, Doug Plank was waiting in the final layer of punishment. His influence went far beyond one position. Defensive coordinator Buddy Ryan loved Plank's aggression so much that he built his revolutionary defense scheme around it. The iconic 46 defense was named after Plank's jersey number 46 because Ryan used him like an extra linebacker at the line of scrimmage, a roaming missile who blew up run plays and short passes before they had a chance to develop. His recorded stats tell part of the story: 15 interceptions, 166 interception return yards, 14 fumble recoveries, and 1 safety. More importantly, he became the first rookie in Bears history to lead the team in tackles in 1975. From the start, he was everywhere, launching his body into collisions that sometimes left even him stunned. Before Mike Ditka, tight ends were mostly extra linemen who occasionally caught a pass. Ditka shattered that mold. Standing 6'3" and around 230 pounds, he combined the bull of a blocker with the hands and route running of a wide receiver. Defenses weren't ready for a player who can outpower linebackers and outmaneuver defensive backs on the same drive. But Ditka wasn't feared just because he produced. He was feared because of how he did it. He ran with a bowling ball mentality, seeking out defenders instead of avoiding them. Opponents emerged from games bruised, scraped, and sometimes visibly rattled after repeated collisions with them. He played with the streak fighter's edge, fueled by anger and an unshakable belief that every snap was a personal test of superiority. Stories from practices and games described him flattening tacklers, punishing anyone who dared wrap him up high, and setting a tone of violence that carried through the entire offense. He was durable, too, earning the nickname Iron Mike because he refused to miss starts during his 84-game tenure with the Bears, grinding through pain as if it were just another defender to run over. He went on to become a 5-time Pro Bowler, a multiple-time All-Pro, including first-team All-Pro in 1963 and 1964, and ultimately the first tight end ever inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1988. On the field, Steve McMichael was relentless. The listed at around 6'2" and 270 pounds, somewhat undersized for a defensive tackle, he compensated with enormous strength and constant effort. He could reportedly bench 525 pounds, and he used that power to collapse pockets, split double teams, and wreck running lanes. His production backs it up: 92.5 sacks with the Bears, the second most in franchise history, behind only Hall of Famer Richard Dent. Durability was another part of his legend. McMichael holds the Bears franchise record for most consecutive games played, 191 straight contests. Hall of Fame coach Mike Ditka once called him the toughest player he ever coached, and it wasn't hard to see why. Off the field, McMichael's intimidation factor didn't just switch off. Stories tell of him sharpening hunting knives in the locker room, unnerving reporters, and spending off nights in biker bars with teammate Dan Hampton, inviting patrons to try their luck in a fight. Steve Mongo McMichael was more than a defensive tackle. He was a force of will, a warrior who gave everything to the Bears defense, and a living embodiment of what it meant to play football the hard way in Chicago. His honors match his impact. Two-time first-team All-Pro in 1985 and 1987. Two-time Pro Bowler in 1986 and 1987, and a central figure on that Super Bowl 20 championship defense. In 2024, he received the ultimate recognition as a Pro Football Hall of Fame inductee, cementing his status among the all-time greats. Dan Hampton spent his entire 12-year NFL career with the Chicago Bears from 1979 to 1990, becoming one of the cornerstones of the team's legendary 46 defense. His blend of size, power, and surprising quickness made him a nightmare for offensive lines, whether he lined up at defensive end or defensive tackle. What made Hampton so feared wasn't just his talent, it was the way he played through pain. Over the course of his career, he endured 10 knee surgeries, yet continued to throw his body in the blockers and ball carriers with full force. Teammates like Steve McMichael would later remark that Hampton willingly sacrificed his own body for the good of the team, neglecting his long-term health to keep the Bears' defense at an elite level. On the field, Hampton's presence reshaped offensive game plans. He had the strength and leverage to bull rush straight through linemen, yet enough quickness to knife into gaps or chase plays down the line. Opponents often needed two blockers just to slow him, freeing up teammates like Richard Dent and Mike Singletary to make splash plays. The nickname Danimal wasn't a marketing gimmick. It was an accurate description of his mindset. Every snap was violent, intense, and relentless. When Hampton was healthy, the Bears' defense looked almost unbeatable, and when he was missing, the drop-off in production was obvious. Dan Hampton was quite simply a destructive force, a player whose toughness, versatility, and mean streak made him one of the most intimidating linemen the NFL has ever seen. His honored list is massive. Hampton was a 4-time Pro Bowler and a 4-time first-team All-Pro. He was also a key figure on the Bears' Super Bowl 20 championship team and was selected to the NFL's 1980s All-Decade team. In 2002, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Mike Singletary played 12 seasons for the Bears from 1981 to 1982 and became the emotional and tactical center of the 1985 Monsters of the Midway defense. His posture before the snap, crouched low, eyes wide, unblinking, became one of the most iconic images in NFL history. Quarterbacks and centers would look up from the line and see that stare, and they knew immediately this was not going to be an easy day. His intimidation started with intensity. Every play was treated like a personal battle. He attacked ball carriers with fierce, explosive hits that resonated through the stadium. And he diagnosed plays with a football IQ that turned chaos into clarity. At Baylor University, he reportedly cracked 16 helmets with his hits, earning him the nickname the Helmet Breaker before he ever stepped onto an NFL field. Singletary's leadership extended beyond stats. He was the voice in the huddle, the organizer of the front seven, and the relentless presence who held everyone to the highest standard. His combination of technique, power, and fury made running between the tackles a dangerous choice. In Chicago, he turned that raw power into greatness. Singletary was a Super Bowl 20 champion, a 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and a 10-time Pro Bowler. He earned 7 first-team All-Pro selections, was named to the NFL 1980s All-Decade team, and won NFL Man of the Year in 1990 for his work on and off the field. In 1998, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Ed Sprinkle joined the Bears in 1944 as a free agent out of Navy and played 12 seasons through 1955. He started as a two-way player, contributing on offense and defense, and even caught 32 passes for 451 yards and 7 touchdowns. But it was on defense, most notably at end, where his legend was forged. Bears coach George Halas once called him the greatest pass rusher he'd ever seen. At about 6'1" and 206 pounds, he wasn't big, even by the standards of his time, but he made up for it with ferocity, quickness off the snap, and a willingness to push the physical boundaries of the game. Sprinkle's signature move was a brutal forearm shiver that hammered opponents in the chin, nose, or throat. This technique earned him the nickname the Claw and left a trail of injuries behind. In the 1946 NFL Championship game, he was involved in several infamous hits, reportedly breaking the nose of a Giants cornerback and running back and separating another back's shoulder. Quarterbacks of his era admitted they had to keep one eye on their receivers and one eye on Sprinkle just to survive. His honors include first-team All-Pro in 1949 and first-team All-NFL in 1950. He was selected to 4 Pro Bowls and named to the NFL 1940s All-Decade Team. In 2020, he finally received his long overdue honor as part of the Pro Football's Hall of Fame's Centennial Class. At 6'8" and around 257 pounds, Doug Atkins was a towering, almost unreal figure for his era in the 1950s and 1960s. Atkins played 17 NFL seasons, 12 of them with the Chicago Bears from 1955 to 1966. With Chicago, he became a key figure in the 1963 NFL Championship team. Stories circulated about Atkins manhandling blockers, lifting players into the air and tossing them while destroying protections single-handedly. Hall of Famers like Johnny Unitas and Ray Nitschke publicly acknowledged the fear Atkins inspired, noting that no one wanted to be the player who made him angry. Ray Nitschke called Doug Atkins the strongest player he'd ever seen. He also commented on how the Green Bay Packers players liked to mess with him. If they talked with him during a game, it was always about something pleasant, warm weather, and a clear sky, because nobody wanted to get him pumped up. NFL Films once compared Atkins to a storm ripping across a farmhouse, coming from every direction and leaving destruction in its wake. He was selected to 8 Pro Bowls during his time with the Bears and earned 4 first-team All-Pro selections while in Chicago. His overall legacy includes being a 2-time NFL champion and spots on both the NFL 1960s All-Decade Team and the prestigious NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1992. Nagurski played for the Chicago Bears in the leather helmet era, suiting up for 9 seasons from 1930 to 1937, then returning for a final campaign in 1943. Standing 6'2" and weighing between 226 and 235 pounds, Nagurski was larger than most linemen of his time, let alone other backs. He didn't just dance around defenders, he ran straight through them. Opponents devised specific strategies just to survive contact with him. Going low risked being trampled. Going high meant getting steamrolled. One famous tale describes a college coach discovering him plowing a field without a mule, simply driving the blade himself. Another iconic story places him in a game against the Portsmouth Spartans, where he scored a touchdown by battering through multiple defenders and crashing into the brick wall beyond the end zone at Wrigley Field. The punchline was that he supposedly returned to the huddle wondering why that last guy hit him so hard. Beyond football, Nagurski became a multi-time world heavyweight champion in professional wrestling, adding to his aura as one of the toughest men alive. His accolades are staggering. 3 NFL championships, 4 first-team All-Pro selections, membership to the NFL 1930s All-Decade Team, and the NFL 75th Anniversary All-Time Team. He is enshrined in both the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the College Football Hall of Fame, and the Bronko Nagurski Trophy is awarded annually to the best defensive player in college football. Dick Butkus played for the Chicago Bears from 1965 to 1973 and is widely regarded as the most intimidating player in NFL history. He didn't just tackle people, He tried to obliterate them. His combination of size, speed, rage, and instinct turned the middle of the field into a danger zone. But it's the way opponents talked about him that truly defines his intimidation. Butkus was known for manufacturing anger before games, inventing reasons to be mad so he can maintain a hostile edge. Once the whistle blew, he attacked with a kind of controlled madness, sprinting sideline to sideline, launching himself into ball carriers, and leaving them dazed, bruised, and often genuinely rattled. Stories circulated of players being hit so hard they wandered into the wrong huddle, unsure where they were. Runners who challenged him in the middle often did so only once. His hits were described as attempts to bury opponents, not just stop them. Dick Butkus didn't just redefine the middle linebacker position. He redefined fear in professional football. His name became shorthand for violence, toughness, and intimidation. When fans talk about the meanest Chicago Bear of all time, the conversation always ends the same way, with Butkus on top. The honors came in waves. Butkus was an 8-time Pro Bowler and a 5-time first-team All-Pro. He was named NFL Defensive Player of the Year twice, recognized on both the NFL 1960s and 1970s All-Decade teams, and honored on the NFL's 75th and 100th anniversary all-time teams. In 1979, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, securing his legacy among the greatest defenders of all time.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. If I missed someone, share your opinion in the comments. Thanks again.